Some people are saying it is the result of social media campaigns coordinated by Russia. What do you think to that accusation?
Everything is based on assumptions. There are rather opinions written in a sort of official form and presented to the news stream media as so-called evidence. Nobody can prove anything.
What do the Romanian people think to this? Have there been any protests?
No, organizing street protests would only benefit the current president, who we call the bloody dictator.
Hello, my name is Justin Says, and this is the Brussels Signal Studio. We have a very timely interview for you today. We're going to be talking about Romania, one of the most controversial subjects in the European Union today, and we're talking with a prominent Romanian politician. His name is George Simion, and he is the co-founder and leader of the Alliance for the Union of Romanians, which is a right-wing nationalist political party. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Simion.
Thank you for your invitation. Indeed, we have a very complicated situation in Romania with the Constitutional Court annulling our presidential elections after the second round of elections began.
And what is your opinion of this annulment? Why has it happened? Who is behind it? What is at stake?
Behind it is the current system, the current leaders, our president Klaus Werner Iohannis, who was supposed to finish his mandate on Saturday, 21st of December, and the ones who are trying to keep the current status quo. We had presidential elections. I was a candidate. I had 1,300,000 votes in the first round. The first round was won by another sovereignist candidate, Mr. Calin Georgescu, who had 2,100,000 votes from the Romanians. So he entered the second round with the progressist candidate, Madam Elena Lasconi, from the Union Save Romania. We supported, of course, Mr. Calin Georgescu because he was the sovereignist candidate comparing to the globalist candidate. The Constitutional Court, even if we had rumors starting 2 or 3 days after the first round, validated the results of the first round in the next Monday, the Monday after the 1st of December, the Monday after the parliamentary elections, because we also had the parliamentary elections in this period. And after they validated the first round on Monday, Friday, the voting process for the Romanians abroad started. And in the afternoon, the Constitutional Court said we have to annul the presidential elections and we have to start from zero. And the problem is that they have done this, they annulled our presidential elections without any substantial proof of foreign interference. So 10 million votes were annulled by a system that fears the will of the people. It's unprecedented inside the European Union and inside the free world, inside civilized countries. We were expecting a democratic transition of power from the current government and the current president to the newly elected leaders of the Romanian people. No substantial proof was given for this decision, only things that are questionable.
Right.
Not a shred of
Now,
evidence.
is it fair to say, sir, that the result was a surprise and Mr. Georgescu was not expected to come top? Is that fair?
Of course, it was a big surprise for everybody in Romania and abroad. Mr. Georgescu had 1-2% of the votes in the opinion polls 1 month before the elections. He was around 7 to 10% in the last week. So he gained 22% of the votes of Romanians, 2,100,000. So it was the biggest surprise in our democracy, 35 years of democracy. In these days, we are commemorating 35 years since the Romanian Revolution, which started the new republic in Romania and started our democracy. I
Right.
was
Now,
only 3
the
years old then when in December 1989 Ceausescu was shot and the revolution took place.
Right. Now, I remember Ceausescu actually from when I was a student. But now, what people are alleging as this surprise, there must be an explanation for this surprise jump in the support for Mr. Georgescu. And some people are saying it is the result of social media campaigns coordinated by Russia. Do you think there is any, what do you think to that accusation?
Coordinated by an statal actor. This is the official
A
explanation.
non-state actor, okay,
But
or a state actor from
eh,
outside?
yes, only Anthony Blinken said something about Russia in his last days of mandate. The Democrats in United States have a good relations with the current socialist government here in Romania. Our prime minister announced that Anthony Blinken played a crucial role in getting us into the Schengen area in the last week. Everything is based on assumptions. I told you, not a shred of evidence. There are rather opinions written in a sort of official form and presented to the news stream media as so-called evidence. Nobody can prove anything. Things were going organic both on TikTok and Facebook, and they are trying to hold accountable the TikTok network, even if this happened in a similar way also on Facebook.
Now, according to the reports that I've seen, some evidence or intelligence has been declassified, but as I understand it, the Romanian public hasn't seen it, but the judges have. Is that the case?
First, I have to mention that we are not talking about judges in our constitutional court. They say they are judges, but they are persons that have a political background, and they are promoted to the constitutional court not through the judicial system, but as nominees by the current president, who finishes his second term. So he was president for 10 years, and by the socialists and liberals. So they are pretty involved in politics, these 9 members of the constitutional court. No, nobody said in the public opinion in Romania there are proofs, or there are more proofs than the ones that were presented in the public, and from those so-called proofs, rather opinions, we should understand that something fishy was happening. There's a lack of transparency. There's a dangerous precedent happening here with the presidential elections. And the only country where this happened before was in Austria in 2016, when the ecologist party, the Green Party, had a representative and FPO had a representative. Their Supreme Court decided to repeat the second round. There was no problem if we saw the second round repeating, but the constitutional court members said we have to start all over again. with new candidates. This was a web of decisions from the constitutional court and from the government. The government controls basically every institution in Romania, and they started by putting together in an unlawful way the local with European election because they were scared of our party, the party I run, and because they have the vast majority of mayors. Then in September, they gave a ruling to block some candidates for having uh, allegedly pro-Russian stances, and this is not unconstitutional. This doesn't break any law, but the Constitutional Court picked randomly who could be a candidate and who couldn't, and this was the case for several candidates. And now, what is unthinkable just happened. They have annulled the results of first round, and uh, people were voting at the moment they took the decision for the second round in the diaspora.
So what happens now?
Nobody knows. Our current president, who finishes his mandate, his second mandate, on Saturday, went in a public conference and said, "What about me? What will I do? I will continue to be the president until a new president is elected." So the current government doesn't want to publish a new decision of organizing new elections. We are expected to have next week a new government in Bucharest, and the new government will set a date. Nobody knows when, in March, April, May. They are trying to prolong undemocratically the date in order to use what they said it was used on TikTok, manipulation and propaganda, but through the official channels. The official channels being the vast majority of the TV stations controlled by the government and the deep state.
And what do the Romanian people think to this? Have there been any protests?
No, people are waiting for a legal resolution because Mr. Georgescu and many thought that organizing street protests would only benefit the current president, who we call the bloody dictator, Klaus Werner Iohannis. And we believe that the deep state would have organized violences. So there weren't any street protests, but the Romanians are furious and they are waiting democratically to vote against an authoritarian regime, a corrupt regime that suppressed freedoms and that annulled the elections. We believe in democracy and we are waiting for a result out of this. We are disappointed that in the European Parliament and at the European level, the EPP and the Socialists are backing this coup d'etat, and they are backing the current undemocratic government. We talked and we had speeches in our campaign about Belarus, Lukashenko, about what's happening in undemocratic countries, but we never believed that we will get in such a point where in Romania we will have annulled free elections.
Now, do you believe that Russia tried to influence the election result?
There are no proofs. They are talking about a statal actor, which can be also China, because they are invoking and they are trying to put the blame on TikTok. So it can be Turkey, it can be China, it can be Russia. We can assume also aliens came and influenced the minds of Romanians. But the fact is that Romanians got fed up with this corrupt government and wanted a change. So no matter the public stances of Mr. Georgescu, we must respect the will of the people.
Right. Now, you stood in for president. Will you stand again in the new elections, presuming there will be elections?
We are not a democratic country at the moment, so we will have to see what is happening. Our plan A is I support Mr. Calin Georgescu to become president because this is the will of the Romanian people and this is the path to democracy. If in some sort of way Mr. Georgescu won't be a candidate, we will have to have a candidate that replaces Mr. Georgescu.
And that could be you?
Me or somebody else in the party, yes, because we were the only ones fighting in these days for democracy from the main political parties, and we will do everything it takes to restore democracy and to have free elections in Romania. It sounds very, very weird to us to pronounce these words, that our objective is to have free elections, but free and fair elections. But this is the case now in Romania.
And you support the policies of Mr. Georgescu, do you?
No, I cannot assume all his promises or all entirely his program, but I assume the will of the Romanian people. We have a system of checks and balances. We have a constitution that was working just fine until the moment of 6th December. So we want to see the will of the people and the democratic transition in power.
Obviously, one of the big issues, as I understand it, was Ukraine and Mr. Georgescu's position that he would stop all Romanian aid to Ukraine. Do you agree with that position, and do you think this was part of the reason why the elections were cancelled?
Romania wasn't transparent in telling the world and firstly, before telling the world, telling to its own citizens that we give weapons and military aid to Ukraine. This is kept secret, and the majority of the Romanians don't want us to help or to get involved in this war. We, as a party, stand for peace, and we hope that peace will be brought. Firstly, a ceasefire is needed. Hopefully, President-elect Trump will manage to impose peace. 2 months from now, it will be 3 years since the military occupation of Ukrainian territories by Russia. So we need to stop to stop this war. We need to stop also what's behind this war, the military-industrial complex, who is profiting exclusively from this conflict. We should stop any casualties, and hopefully our strategic partner and the United States will manage to impose peace.
And so, are you personally in favor of stopping aid to Ukraine?
The military aid, yes.
Okay, okay. And you mentioned President-elect Trump. What is your relationship with him and the US Republican Party?
We are a Trumpist party. We are part of the new wave in the free world that is supporting sovereign views and is supporting a Europe of nations, not a super federal state. We didn't have we didn't met President Trump until now, but we have good relations with the Republican Party and other conservative parties across Europe and North America and South America.
Right. Now, you have just said that you have not seen any proof of any interference by Russia. What do you think of the position taken by other European countries as far as this annulment is concerned, and the European Commission?
I think this is shameful. I visited many times the European institutions, and always through the corridors in Brussels and in Strasbourg, I heard again and again and again about the rule of law. It's exactly the rule of law which is being shattered, and nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to take an attitude. If this would have happened in Georgia, if this would have happened in Republic of Moldova or in Azerbaijan, and this happened in the Republic of Moldova, actually, an EPP MEP from Romania, Siegfried Mureșan, had hard stances and proposed sanctions for Moldova at the local elections in 2018. Romanian and ethnic German MEP, this Siegfried Mureșan. And now we are facing coup d'etat against the will of the people, and nobody reacts besides the patriotic and the sovereignist members of the European Parliament and their MPs back home. We addressed to Venice Commission, we addressed to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, and we are doing all the necessary steps, even if now Ursula von der Leyen seems to be deaf, and Ursula von der Leyen seems to take great concern on TikTok, not on democracy and the rule of law.
Does what's happening as far as the presidential elections are concerned affect the Romanian parliament, or will that carry on as normal?
We will see what will happen at the end of this week and the beginning of the next week in the Romanian parliament, because we see police stopping cars in traffic with opposition leaders, with people who contest the current status quo, and taking them to the prosecutor's office, taking them to the police station. We see how the few TV stations that air sovereignist views and air Mr. Georgescu are being given daily fines, big fines, 50,000 euros, 100,000 euros. And there are threats that some mandates of members of the parliament won't be validated in the new parliament. So we can absolutely say we are not in a full democracy, and we are waiting for more and more step backs in this matter.
Can I just confirm what you said? Are you claiming that the police are arresting peaceful protesters?
Yes, this is what I said. It's a member of my party, a member of the new parliament, that was arrested, taken out of the traffic, out of his car, and taken to the police station. It's an authoritarian regime. I never believed that in Romania will happen things that I witnessed in Chisinau, in Republic of Moldova, for example.
And you said that for the moment there has been a decision, or rather the people are not protesting on the streets. Do you think that could happen? And if so, when?
This could happen if this regime that is clinging to power won't give satisfaction to the Romanian people. We are expecting that on Saturday, President Iohannis steps back from office and doesn't illegally occupy the presidential place.
Right. Oh, okay. And why Romania seems to be so geopolitically important right now? Why is that? Is it because of Ukraine? Well, why is it, please?
We listened to everything that the European Commission said. We were the perfect slaves to any dictate from Brussels. And now I think they are worried about losing power here and about Romania going to some leaders that will have the same decisions as Hungary, as Slovakia, or as Poland under the law and justice government. But this is not democratic, like it's not democratic the way they are trying to change the treaties. So we are fighting for freedom right now, for democracy, and I think we are in a test zone. If they manage to do this in Romania, next will be Poland or any other country.
Now, more than once during this interview, you have referred to what's going on in Romania as a coup d'etat. You firmly believe that?
The will of the people should be law, and we should be able to choose our president and our leaders. Yes, I believe that because it's normal to have free and fair elections, and it's normal to have a democratic transition of power.
That's great. Mr. Simion, many thanks for your time.
Thank you also. Anytime.